So I do think that mid-majors are dying where it's like, hey, this team has been playing together for 4 years. This guy's the all-time leading scorer at the school, blah, blah, blah. If you have one good year, you are going to go rightfully get paid. What NIL was supposed to do, correct me if I'm wrong, was like, hey, Braxton Miller has 40,000 jerseys in the stands at Ohio Stadium on Saturday, and he makes $0.0 from
you
it.
get a
Let's get
20% cut of it. Yeah.
that was what it was supposed to be for.
Yep.
Now it's to get kids. It's not even going to keep the Cooper Flags and the Con Knipples in college. They're going to go make their 20 million, 40 million in the NBA. It's getting people like fifth, sixth year seniors to get to stick around for another 2 million before they have to go fucking sell cars somewhere. Alrighty, it's the rundown. Monday, March 24th. I'm joined by Vibs and Reegs. Obviously, we're going to talk ball today. Reegs, this is your rundown debut, if I'm not mistaken.
I've been on a rundown once, and it was Dave saying I belong in jail after Kentucky lost to that Zion Duke team by like 150 to open the season. Because he heard me in the office, the old HQ2, say I like Kentucky that night, so he bet it. Yeah, okay. Not great. Hopefully this rundown ends with me not in jail.
All right, well, today's your redemption then. Yeah. Before we get going, we are brought to you by JackPocket today. Ordering official state lottery tickets has never been easier thanks to JackPocket. It's America's #1 lottery app. We got Powerball, Mega Millions, state games like Pick 3, Pick 4, you name it, they've got it. The JackPocket lottery app is great. You can order tickets whenever you want, right to your smartphone. New customers, you'll get your first ticket free with the code BARSTOOL. That is code BARSTOOL. For your first lottery ticket on Jackpot, download the app today. All right, I'm assuming you guys both watched ball quite literally the entire weekend. Reegs, we'll start with you, our resident ball knower. What are your overall thoughts on the opening weekend? I think the big stories would be St. John's is the only 2 seed that is gone. Duke looks excellent. And then really a whole lot of not madness, I would say.
Yeah, for me personally, it's a real kick in the dick to see Cal beat Pitino at Arkansas and then Duke look awesome. Like just 2 schools I wanted to flame out completely. It does suck not to have the Pitino storyline, right? Like anybody that's been around college basketball, watched college basketball this year, the Pitino storyline, if he would have made a run to the Final Four for sure, even to the second weekend, we're getting another week of Pitino, and that's like the sport. That's better for the sport. You get it with Calipari, obviously. So from like the news standpoint, it's good, I guess. I just, I obviously didn't want to see Calipari succeed at all this year. They're on life support for 85% of the year. Yeah, Duke looks awesome as much as I want to admit. I still think Duke's hateable. I know, I've heard Titus, I've heard Big Cat, I've heard everyone else talk about how this Duke team's not hateable. They still have Duke across their chest. Like yeah. It's very easy to hate Duke. Vibs, you're an Indiana fan. You see me wearing Kentucky. You hate Kentucky. Like
I hate him. I hate him.
It doesn't matter that we're like this scrappy underdog now all of a sudden.
Right. Calipari's not on the sideline, and I still hate him just as much. Just seeing Kentucky. I had Troy in the bracket busters.
I know. I saw that.
Watching the 7-foot Kentucky players that are getting paid $1 million to beat up on this Sun Belt Conference team. Oh, it was just disgusting. And them talking shit. And then doing this to the Troy players. Oh, it pissed me off. But hey, Kentucky fans, they're making videos about getting past the first round, so that's awesome. Good for them.
Listen, when you're at Kentucky and you haven't seen the second weekend since 2019, you run Calipari out of town. Yeah, we beat a mid-major. We haven't done that in 3 years.
I do not blame you. I saw you post that and I was laughing, but like I was in the office the other day and I was like, I would cut my hands off for Indiana to make it to the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16. They haven't been to the tournament like 7 out of 9 years. It's crazy. So I don't blame you.
There is something. You guys have both, like Ohio State and Indiana, you guys have experienced this at least, in your life. There is something about getting out of the first round or the first weekend as a fan and getting like the 4 to 5 days of just like rehashing what happened, talking to your buddies like, hey, what's the plan for the Sweet 16? Analyzing everything. That 4 to 5 day gap that we have coming up, if you're one of the 16 teams that advance, that's arguably the best part of the season.
Yep. I agree. It's the anticipation, the hype around it. It's fun to be a fan. Reegs is out here talking about the second weekend, Vibs, and Vibs, you got shafted by the committee. Is that impacting your tournament, your excitement for the tournament at all? Or are you still just as usual?
Just as usual, and we've been so bad for like I said, we haven't made it 7 of the last 9 years that it's like, all right, this is what usually happens. But the Hoosiers sucked in the first 3/4 of the season, so it's like, all right, the Hoosiers screwed the Hoosiers. So I'm not too mad about it. I mean, the Big Ten, it shows that Indiana probably should have been in there. The Big Ten's dominated, but yeah, whatever. We got our guy. I'm excited.
I had to sit by Dave this weekend as he reminded me over and over again that the Big Ten should be cheering for the Big Ten here. But Vibs, we are first to the transfer portal. The transfer portal officially opens today. Reegs is out here preparing for a Sweet 16 game, and we're going to be loading up for next year.
Yeah, we got is it DeVries? We got his son coming, who's apparently a stud, and he might be Big Ten Player of the Year. So I'm getting my hopes up already for next March, so it's going to be great. I can't wait.
Do you guys have any takes on this Aura Kid before we move on from the opening weekend?
I liked him. Like, it's so dumb, but it's perfect for college sports. It's the fact that we didn't have the crazy upsets. We didn't have, like, there were maybe 3 or 4 players that went nuts. That, like, Bennett starts in the first round from Drake. You didn't have, like, the St. Peter story, Golke, DJ Burton. You didn't have any of these other guys. So he became the story because Mcneese was the only major upset. And it's like, you cash in on your 15 minutes of fame. That's exactly what he did. I don't blame him. I blame everyone else because there was nothing else to really talk about. Like, the attention all went to him. You know, it's one of those, it's just so dumb. And it's the world we live in now where people just are going to hate on anything and everything the moment it gets big. And yeah, like, the cut-ins were a little too much, especially when they're down like 25 to Purdue. But I don't blame the kid one bit for cashing in. Like, you're a manager. Get 6-figure deals if you can.
Yeah. It's like when a good song goes on the radio and they just play it over and over again. Yep. It's like, it's not the band's fault that their song is awesome and it's getting played. I like the kid. You gotta have a manager that's a glue guy and keeps the team together. So I appreciate it, but it's not his fault for it getting too big.
And the team seemed to enjoy it. Like, McNeese players celebrated with him. So it wasn't, I saw a lot of people being like, why was the focus on Amir Khan, the players? And it's like, they go to the locker room, the players are dousing him with water.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The kid is nice. You listen to the kid talk. He doesn't have like a selfish bone in his body. My problem is that the media has given him so much attention that I fucking hate the kid now. They won one game. The Sister Jean thing was interesting because they made it to the Final Four. And it's like, okay, they won. And then they won. And then they did what Reeg said, where you make it to the next weekend so you talk about it all week. And then they won again. And then they won again. And then you get to talk about it all week. We are so starved for like something quirky and something interesting. And this kid's funny. Let the record show that they made it to the round of 32 and then got waxed in the first game of the round of 32.
I will say I would have turned on him if they made it out of here, because all I can remember with Sister Jean is at the Final Four, the press conference, where there's a million media people in front of her and like one local beat reporter in front of like their best players doing interviews. And like the moment that would have happened is when I would have been like, all right, that's enough. But for one weekend, like now it's gone. Now it's gone.
It's not gone, Reegs. Wait, listen, Reegs. It's not gone because now he is going to North Carolina State.
I love that move, honestly, more than anything else. Putting a manager into the transfer portal and getting like the graphics saying he's moving on, that makes me laugh just because of how fucking stupid it is.
Again, good for him, and he's getting paid. I already made 6 figures off 2 days of work or whatever. Great for him. Now he gets to be a celebrity at NC State. He's going to be the face of college basketball next year.
Can your eligibility as a student manager run out? Obviously, you got to be a student there. But if you're a student there for 10 years,
they gave him a job.
Yeah,
he's got like a full-time job
assistant.
now.
He's a graduate assistant at like a high-level D1 school like this. And I'm not even talking about like Duke or North Carolina. I'm talking about NC State. People work for years, almost like a decade, and then go back and they're like, hey, I finally made it to be a grad assistant at this type program. We gave it to this kid? All right, I'm fired up too much.
Now that he's not a student manager, it's not as fun. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right.
Yeah, you got to be the manager.
This is your job? It's like, yeah, my job's I do weird shit on the internet. It's like, yeah. How old are you? It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, who does that on the internet?
All right, let's move on to some more specific topics from within the weekend of March Madness. This is all ball today, boys. I think the number one, well, there was two interesting things that happened yesterday. We're going to start with the Maryland buzzer beater / Travelgate. For those of you that haven't seen it, everyone in the world has seen it. But basically, Colorado State plays great against Maryland. Maryland comes back. Colorado State hits a big shot. Maryland gets the ball when we finally have our moment for a buzzer beaters type situation. Derek Queen, incredible freshman, goes to the left, puts one off the glass. Buzzer beater goes crazy. I don't know if anyone in America in real time said it was a travel, but then you know how college basketball is. We go to the replay, we slow it down, we start to determine when did he pick it up, what happened. And now I would say you've got more than half of America whining and moaning about the buzzer beater, saying that was actually a travel. Riggs, what's your take?
Listen, I'm a proud Maryland hater. I've hated them my entire life. The fact people are screaming walk, and like Fanta had a great rant on it, it's my exact thought process. The fact people screaming walk, they are the worst people in the world. Because, like you said, it is the one moment we've been waiting for. We've been screaming, we need a buzzer beater. We need a buzzer beater. We had Jalen Lake hit that massive three to give Colorado State the lead, followed by that. It was a perfect March ending. And it goes down to replay and Gene Steratore, who I'm sick of. The whole fact that everyone is slowing it down, and we do this in all the sports. Stop ruining the moment, right? Like every time you go back to when we were growing up, and you had like Bryce Drew hitting that game winner for Valpo, celebrations immediately. There was no going to the monitor to look. It was everyone just celebrating and one team crying. We need to get back to that in sports. We need to get back to just being like, that was fucking cool. Let it stand. Who cares about maybe a half a step when it had no impact on the play?
Vibs?
Yeah, not to be like I saw
it. Travel, Vibs.
I saw it in real time, and I was like, that might have been a travel. But I don't know. The last second shot, I don't care. I just want the memory. The last second. If you're the ref and you call the travel there, it's just like, don't take away our fun.
Yeah.
But in real time, if you watch that and you know ball, you're like, that's a travel.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Because everyone's like, oh, the gather. And it's like, what?
The
this is college, and it wasn't. This is college. And
I think
I watched Mikal Bridges had a game-winning shot against Portland the other day. He took 7-8 steps, and everyone's like, oh, this is awesome. Last second shot, it rules. And it's like, he looked like a toddler running with the ball. Like, it was awful. It sucked. This is a little different. It's, it's a half a second, half a step, but like, I don't know, man. That is a travel.
I hate to be the guy that like, this is just, I hope everyone's happy that started this replay culture, this review culture, because you cannot call that ever at the end of a game. That is a good bucket. That is a buzzer beater. That's a great moment. But if you give me that video clip and give me the rules and you look at it, that is a travel. I'm not saying call it. I'm glad they didn't. I think shit would have burned down last night if they would have called travel. But Riggs, it's the BYU game against Wisconsin, was it? Where the kid swung his elbow and hit the dude in the nuts?
I hate that.
Not in the history of the world does that guy get ejected. In fact, I would say it was, if I'm watching, it's a foul on the other guy for being in his space, and that's what you're taught. You're taught you have your own space. And then they kicked him out of the game because you can slow it down to a minuscule speed and completely change everything.
Anytime you have to slow it down. Like, this is we need to get rid of replay and review, or like at least figure it out to like a VAR system or an extra official or a challenge system. College basketball is fucking ruined at the end of games because it takes 30 minutes to play 1 minute of game time between the fouls and all the reviews. Refs can't even make a call anymore. They just call out of bounds and immediately do this, and it's aggravating as a fan. And I'm very much in the line of thinking, like, I don't care when the time of game is. If a foul's a foul. Like, a point's worth a point. at any time. It doesn't matter what or when. But if you have to slow it down so much and people are still arguing, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. The call as it was. That photo of Queen like going over the Colorado State player with just the hand is completely in his face and he just goes up perfectly, kisses it off the glass. It's a great moment, and we haven't had any in this tournament. So I was like,
what we needed. It's what we needed.
We needed it.
Yeah, Colorado State advancing would have been the good story from like the mid-major or the non-power school angle. But the fact that we had our moment of big shot followed by big shot at the buzzer, it's what that round needed. It's what this weekend needed.
And the Crab 5 stays alive. It's the greatest nickname that I've heard in sports in a long time.
How about Derek Queen just being like, give me the motherfucking ball? Yeah, I love that. Big dick energy.
And the fact, like, when they said, like, where'd you get your conference from? It's like, I'm from Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore. Yeah.
Like, okay.
Also, sure. the best is, and this is kind of small market, my region, but Dan Dockich has been calling Derek Queen soft all season. And it's like, what a soft prep player. Also, what is it? Mount Verdi Academy has. If you were on that team, your team was basically in the Sweet 16. Like, they've dominated. But yeah, Dan Dockich couldn't have been more wrong with that take, and that felt good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, Indiana probably could have used him this year.
100. I would cut off my left hand to have had Derek Queen. Derek Queen and McNeely was supposed to be there, but he left, which I don't blame him. Even for Hurley.
On to the next, the big story of coaching wise would be obviously the two-time defending champion UConn Huskies went down. They went down with a fight too. They went down, defending their title. They played the team that everyone thinks is the hottest team in the country right now, the SEC tournament champion, the Florida Gators, and they took them all the way to the wire, to the point where there was a time with like 5 minutes ago, where I thought UConn was going to pull off the upset. They do not. Florida, Walter Clayton was incredible. Florida wins the game. But then in the postgame, our good friend Danny Hurley gives everyone something to talk about as he's walking off the court, and Baylor's there getting ready to take onto the court for their next game, and he looks at him and he goes, "I hope they don't fuck you like they fucked us, Baylor."
I hope they don't do that to you, Baylor. I hope they don't do that to you,
That clip gets out, and now we've got an all-out internet war on our hands. What I want to hear your guys' take on the situation, but I love it's UConn versus the world right now. Reeks?
I'm defending Dan Hurley here. Like I love Dan Hurley. I am not a UConn fan by any means, but I love what Dan Hurley brings to the sport. And it's not his fault that this went out. When you're in the tunnel right after a season-ending loss, I think it's bullshit that he got taped. And that went out. He wasn't saying it to the refs. He wasn't saying it out in public. I have been lucky enough to be back in the tunnel at games, and I have heard that from other current Division I coaches. I heard it at a Final Four when, let's just say, Auburn may or may not have gotten screwed at the whistle against Virginia. Guess what some of those guys were saying in the tunnel? It's the fact that everything is just recorded these days. I don't blame Hurley one bit. Now, I don't think that they got fucked by any means. Like, they couldn't grab a rebound. They shot like shit. They didn't get fucked by the refs. Although you could make a case he was right about Baylor and Duke because of the foul trouble Baylor was in. I love that we have this. College basketball is driven by coaches. It's a coach league. When you think of a school, you think of a coach because you get players for mostly 4 years at max. The fact that Dan Hurley is staying in college and pissing people off, he has the titles, he has all these, like the perfect, I saw the tweet, it was like the duality of man, where this went viral at the same time as his clip from the interview with Tracy Wolfson was going viral of him crying. And it was just perfect Dan Hurley. And UConn fans yelling at everyone yelling at UConn fans. This is what makes college sports, and I thank Dan Hurley for saying, we got fucked over by the refs, even though they didn't. It's what this sport needs. And again, I don't blame him. Like, what? Stop recording everyone at all times. Can we just say that?
That's fair. Vibs, what you got?
I've seen a lot. Like, I was saying in blogs, and I saw Big Cat tweeted it, where it's like, you need a coach who's a psychopath. Like, all good coaches are crazy people who sleep in their office for 48 hours and don't go home to their family, and all they want to do is win. They're addicted to winning. And I get that. But on the other hand, no one wants to have a douchebag just like thrown in their face. Like, Dan Hurley has some douchebag moments where he's just complaining and whining and crying, and no one likes that. And I saw Jack Mack posted, he's like, there's coaches that have done way worse. Like, yeah, you got your Chris Beards and your Patinos, for sure. But they're doing it behind closed doors, and it's not really talked about. Dan Hurley is just like on camera and interviews, and it's getting shoved down our throat that he's crying, and I love all these players, and fuck the refs, they're going to fuck you. And I got 2 rings to the student section in Creighton. And it just gets shoved down your throat, and no one wants to have a douchebag just thrown in their face. Also, people were like, comparing him to Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight wasn't crying. He was just hitting kids. And that's what the fucking the good old days were about.
Red sweater.
Good old fashioned hitting kids. Yeah, it's good for the sport. You got to have a heel, but people are going to hate him because, no one wants a douchebag thrown in their face.
It is so good for college basketball that Dan Hurley's in the sport. I fucking love the guy because he's constant drama, constant entertainment. It's like professional wrestling out there. I have no problem with Dan Hurley. Like, if he's going to 2 rings ball to you when he wins, and then he's going to, hey, the refs fucked us and I hope they don't fuck you. They lost in the Maui Invitational 3 times, and his takeaway was, I'm never coming back to Maui. These tournaments are bad. He is professional wrestling at its finest. I have no problem with him. I'm glad he's in the sport. It's when he does something good and he brags about it, we talk about it. When he whines and complains when he loses, we talk about it. He goes off on boxing out during Maui, that his team does it so well and rebounds so well. And then yesterday they don't box out twice at the end of the game on free throws, and he loses the game because of it. He's just constant entertainment. The only people that I have a problem with right now are UConn fans. Can't see that. Like, the UConn fans right now are saying, how is he the heel when you've got, was it Chris Beard with the wife situation? You've got Rick Pitino with the sex ring or whatever it was. And you've got Bruce Pearl with the whole feds. Yeah, that's not something that, like, on the day-to-day basis, like, we're going to go out there and talk about, and I hate this guy and know he's entertaining. Dan Hurley is fun to cheer for and fun to hate.
You mentioned the baldy thing. As a bald man, if a bald man like Dan Hurley called me baldy, that's the meanest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
it's fucking hilarious.
That hits so much harder. It's like a fat person coming up to you and being like, Bibbs, here's my dieting plan. And you're like, what? Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you don't have hair. And the difference, though, like, outside of Pitino, Hurley has the titles. Beard doesn't have the titles. Pearl doesn't have the titles. Will Wade doesn't have the titles. Like, all these guys, Sean Miller doesn't have the titles. Like, so all eyes are on Hurley as the back-to-back champion. And I'm just, like, it is perfect. He's perfect for UConn because UConn fans are boisterous. If you say, like, hey, they've been, like, probably the best program in the last 25 years, but they're not historically the best. It's like, well, what the fuck do you know? Like, we have TV now. And it's like, all right, man, like, I'm just making a factual statement. But Hurley is perfect for it. He can't go anywhere else. And again, like, they lost because of rebounding and shitty shooting. But if he's going to flip that on the refs, I kind of admire it. Like, that's just the ultimate spin zone.
It is, but then you can't whine and complain when people point that out. When you argue and yell and boo professional wrestlers, it's because they're, like, trying to drag that out of you. Hurley, he's a psycho. I don't even know if he knows what he's doing. But we're not booing him because he's a bad guy and he beats his wife and shit. No, he's electric at all times. I love him.
Was Coach K hated because he was kind of high horse, better than you, and he was just he won a lot at Duke. It was Duke. Yeah, but I feel like he was a dickhead, but he was quiet about it, and people still hated him. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that. He yelled at his own fan base to stop, like, the whole chanting thing and going off on the deep end.
He would be rate refs.
He would be rate refs. he would demand all this stuff. He's
and he was hated.
But I was gonna say I feel like people would find a way to hate Dan Hurley even if he wasn't so in your face about it. If that makes sense.
If you win titles, people start hating you.
Yeah, I feel like Coach K was a little more quiet about it. I get what you're saying.
I don't know, like the late '90s into the 2000s, he really became just the ultimate dickhead. And,
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you won titles, you have the right to like. I always say, like, if you win, you have the right to talk shit no matter what. Like, you have the ultimate. Hey, I got 2 rings.
Yeah, the back-to-back championship.
And it did factor in, like, when you look at everything at Duke with K, where it's like the 2010, like, the title team was investigated. The jeweler didn't speak to the NCAA. You're talking about maybe a banner coming down. He was the antithesis to one and done until he copied Calipari and just started recruiting all one and dones. So he was quieter about it, but I think he's a bigger dickhead than Dan Hurley.
And if he would have done what Hurley did and they caught it on camera, the whole world would kill him too. It's what makes sports fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, before we get into our last topic, I want to talk about Every Man Jack. Every Man Jack is a clean men's care brand made specifically for guys, and they're going to be with us all throughout March, from body wash to deodorant, hair to beard care. They've got everything you need to look, smell, and feel great without breaking the bank. Every product is made with naturally derived ingredients, no harsh chemicals, so you're not putting any junk onto your body. Most guys don't realize what's in their body wash or deodorant, but Every Man Jack makes it easy to clean up your routine. And also, they smell great. The scents are designed for guys. Think manly, think outdoorsy, sandalwood, cedarwood, coconut vanilla, and even new ones like Mountain Air. Best part, they are affordable. You don't need to drop $15 on body wash or deodorant when you get something incredible for under $10 with Every Man Jack. This is the first men's personal care brand that you don't have to compromise on. Talking price, scent, quality. Shop Every Man Jack body wash and deodorant at Walmart, Target, Amazon, and everymanjack.com. All right. Final thing before we go post-show would be the new topic around the overarching tournament is that NIL has killed mid-majors. We only have one double-digit seed in the tournament left in the Sweet 16. That is Arkansas. You cannot say they're a Cinderella. Coach Cal is not a Cinderella ever. I don't care that they're a 10 seed, and they're also a power conference team. So I personally am excited for the Sweet 16. But what do you guys think about it? Is Stephen A. Smith, I just saw, said, if this trend continues, college basketball is dead.
Then why was San Diego State, Florida Atlantic like the least watched Final Four of all time? People love upsets early. People hate Cinderellas late. It's a good story, but you want to watch good games. Like this, when St. Peter's played Carolina in the Elite Eight, it wasn't fun. It was a good story leading into it. Then 10 minutes in, it's like, all right, well, this standalone game sucked. I just want to watch a good game.
For sure.
I am very much opposed to blaming NIL and the transfer portal for this. It is the easiest crutch that people just point to when something doesn't go how they want to in college sports. 2017, no upsets, all power conferences in the Sweet 16. 2016 and 19, I believe, were the same too. 2008, we had 4-1s in the Final Four. Nobody screamed it. It's almost like the tournament is a one-off thing that gets weird. Last year, Yale, Grand Canyon, Oakland, Duquesne, James Madison all won a game. No one screamed that NIL was ruining the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
If this is a trend, the next 3 years, then yeah, sure, we can have this discussion. It's just when something goes the way people don't want it to go, they just immediately blame NIL and transfer portal. And it's like, well, the top teams in the country this year were kind of historically great. Mid-majors shot 30% from three in the tournament games. They were all good teams. They just sucked in one game, and it's a one-game scenario. That's the problem. It has nothing to do right now, at least with NIL or transfer portal. Not to mention, you're talking about, like, a lot of these guys are 5th and 6th year guys because of the COVID year. That ends coming up. So there's just so many other things to blame. It's just people want to yell about NIL and transfer portal because it's new and they hate it.
Oops.
Yeah, I love how everyone was like shitting on Jay Billis for picking all the number 1 seeds to be in the Final Four. And it's like shaping up to be a completely chalk bracket. I mean, it already is. So I thought that was funny. I don't know, but why would you stay at a mid-major if you're a kid who's like crushing it? Is there any reason? Because like, I don't know. I ran cross country at a shitty D3 school and then a pretty shitty D1 school. and our facility sucked ass. We got no merch, and you just see all these kids at big schools getting stuff and getting a paycheck. Why would you not want to jump ship and go there?
And it goes. People forget it goes the other way too. Like there are 8th and 9th men on these power conference teams that transferred down to the mid majors and kill it. Like Grand Canyon's best player was at Kansas and DePaul. Then he went to Grand Canyon and killed it.
Get some playing time. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes both ways. People just when FAU made the run and San Diego State made the run, everyone pointed at that. Like, oh, this is thanks transfer portal. Like this, you helped us get these players, and now it's because it's all the high majors. Oh, the transfer portal ruined it all, and it's like you can't scream one way or the other in a tournament that's the dumbest event ever, but also the greatest event.
I don't think it ruins the tournament at all. I'm super excited. I think it's been fun. I'm still excited. The NIL, my problem with NIL is what it was intended to do is quite literally not happening. Like NIL, Vibs, I thought you made a great point. All you do, like the best players on these mid-major teams will be on high major teams next year. It's like a minor league system where if you play well, you get paid the next year to go somewhere else. So I do think that mid-majors are dying where it's like, hey, this team has been playing together for 4 years. This guy's the all-time leading scorer at the school, blah, blah, blah. If you have one good year, you are going to go rightfully get paid. What NIL was supposed to do, correct me if I'm wrong, was like, hey, Braxton Miller has 40,000 jerseys in the stands at Ohio Stadium on Saturday, and he makes $0.0 from it.
You get a 20% cut of it, yeah.
That was what it was supposed to be for.
Yep.
Now it's to get kids. It's not even going to keep the Cooper Flags and the Con Knipples in college. They're going to go make their $20 million, $40 million in the NBA. It's getting people like 5th, 6th year seniors to get to stick around for another $2 million before they have to go fucking sell cars somewhere.
I like that though. I like keeping guys in there. Like we used to lose these fringe like NBA players because you're like, oh, I might go in the second round, or I can just go to the G League and sign a 2-way deal. I do kind of like having these guys come back for an extra year where, yeah, you're not getting Flag and Knippel and VJ Edgecombe coming back, but it kept like Jeremy Roach in college for another year, Caleb Love in college for another year. The guys that 10 years from now, you were like, remember when Caleb Love hit that shot against Duke that ended Coach K's career? And it's like, yeah, well, we also then had him at Arizona because he was also kind of forced out. But those sort of guys, like, give me them in college as long as we can. I think that helps the sport. But to me, it's simple. You get one free transfer, then it goes back to the old rules unless your coach leaves. If your coach leaves, you can transfer without sitting out again. I think that's the simple solution for everyone involved.
I like that. But you know what I think is ruining March Madness is having 2 games at like noon and 2, and then 8 games from 5 to like 10 p.m. I hate it.
They must know something more than us.
I feel like the West Coast, they're like, all right, the West Coast is still asleep at noon. It's 9 a.m. out there, so we got to wait.
I think it's more than just let you have your weekend. Like, oh, get stuff done during the day and then lock it at night.
No one has their weekend. Yeah.
As a dad, I fucking love it. Like, I give me all the night games because then I don't have 2 minions running around annoying me trying to watch games.
All right.
But it is weird. Like, the 2 standalone, really, and then, like, the Kentucky game, the first half of that's a standalone. So you get, like, 2.5 standalones early. One, you better hope it's a good game because there's nothing worse than watching a blowout and you're like, well,
right. Well, we had Purdue McNeese, and it's just like,
over right away.
Yeah.
But, yeah, throw one more game early. Give us 3. Give us 3 early. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we got today. Post show, any inner office stuff? I don't know. I would say I got to watch the Dave and Smokes debate.
Insane move by Smokes.
Yeah.
I love Nikki. I think that he's pretty dumb, and it creates great content all the time. But to watch that firsthand, Dave was feeding him rally noons, which was pissing off the rest of the cave because Nikki Smokes after a couple noons becomes a lot. And he convinced Dave to give him a rally noon to turn around Michigan's, bad game. And then when Spider told Dave that Nikki had bet on Texas A&M, it was cinema. Did you guys get to see that at all?
Dave, we might need a rally noon. Change the vibe up.
Get them going.
Yeah. Let's see if you can make a difference. This is
He's
big.
on Texas A&M. Just saying.
You're on A&M?
Tate said Nicky was with him. Did you not? Did you not?
Not out loud.
Yeah,
Are you on A&M?
Okay. But now it's like we're going up to the front.
You wouldn't lie.
One of them was lying.
I didn't say it to him.
You said it to me.
You said you're the only one cheer for A&M.
And you said, so is Nicky Smokes. Did you not?
Privately to you, yes.
Fuck rough over there.
You got A&M?
I'm rolling with the boys.
Did you
You're
bet
not,
on A&M?
No, I wrote them on my sheet. I didn't get them in on time.
So you're rooting for.
We got a couple
I have
snakes in
nothing.
here, Dave.
You're
that's
rooting
all.
for. You're rooting for
Show
Michigan.
him your draft.
Yes.
Okay.
Prove it.
I have A&M in my parlay, but Jack makes me do the parlay.
I wanted. Well, I didn't give you a rally noon.
Yeah.
He asked for a rally noon, and then I
That's- yeah.
heard he was rooting for A&M. That would have been a problem.
I got no bullets, so it's, the bet was I put
Show,
the bet
show
in.
the
but
DK app.
Yeah, can I
I
see a
want the
DK
parlay to
app?
hit. But I'm being respectful.
Not
I'm gonna
screenshots
go
either.
hard.
Let him
No,
scroll.
I want the whole phone.
Yeah, let him scroll.
Give the phone away.
Phone. Let me see the phone.
You took a rally noon when you bet on A&M?
I have both.
Oh God.
He's got both.
Oh
Now he's
no.
got both.
Both what?
I have 450 and plus money on both sides.
I saw it. It's an insane move. It's an insane
He lied
move
to his
lie
face.
about what you're doing.
Lying for a free high noon
Yeah.
and getting on Dave's bad side for the rest of forever. Not worth it.
They did come back and win, or else I don't know how it goes down if they don't come back and win. But Nicky's move of, yeah, I bet on both sides. Well, what
Which
the fuck
no
is
one
that?
does that.
And then when Nick Hamilton came in and was like, hey, he just added in the betting group 1 minute ago that he bet on Michigan. I don't know. It kept me entertained. So final thing, Reeves, I need a prediction. So Bosco has made it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Got BYU, and then he's got the winner of Duke, Arizona. We will not have that's this upcoming weekend. Is Bosco riding the bus or is he flying first class?
Get that 57 hours ready. I said it. We said it on Titus's show Sunday night. I thought the winner of BYU Wisconsin was going to the Final Four, so I'm sticking with that because BYU's looked awesome.
Yeah, I'll take Duke.
So
Vibs,
yeah,
what you doing?
Bosco, get the bus.
Yeah, he's getting on the bus. Alabama got scared by, what was it, Robert Morris? Like, Robert Morris gave him everything they could handle.
Played a St. Mary's team that sucks. in the
Yeah.
tournament.
He's riding that bus.
Well, that'll be good entertainment. So, all right.
Oh,
that's
and shout out Family Guy for nailing Frankie's profile in the pizza review.
I don't know if it was a compliment. I still can't feel like it. Very cool that Dave and Frankie were on there, but then they called all Barstool fans like insurrectionists. And
I know, but I just cracked up seeing Frankie in they had him in a vest.
Someone said like the Seth MacFarlane's like right hand guy is like a big Barstool fan. He like loves everything Dave does. Plus, it's like that's what Family Guy does. They they poke at you. They're not gonna be like, hey, this is the greatest person ever. Like they're gonna try to make a joke and on your
like one of the lead writers of Family Guy, Alex Sulkin, is a huge stoolie from the area. He follows probably all of you on Twitter and Instagram. It was just good old fashioned ribbing. He's a great.
But yeah, I was dying at the Frankie, like how they had Frankie made up with the vest. It was perfect.
I think Frankie didn't think that's him. He was like, that's not me.
What?
That's definitely him.
Because he didn't say, all right, Frankie. And he was like, yeah, I don't think that's me. It looks exactly like him.
Yeah, I was to say that's Frankie.
Very cool though. So, all right, sounds good. That's the rundown, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.